you know how when we were coming up with a list of characters from Dark Souls 1 that we should talk about?
Yeah.
And how I may have erased everything we've ever recorded?
Yeah. Do we want to go into that?
Well, I thought, you know what, this would be a good opportunity to just move on from that and discuss some other characters, you know?
I am fine. I'm
just
fine.
Forget that ever happened.
You know, it's like we did a first draft and the next one will be better.
Exactly, because you are pretty incoherent in those drafts, I'm sorry to tell you.
I'm absolutely certain I am.
I'm practicing attitude for the Gwyn video. I'll have to be on point. I'm gonna have to invite to be in my corner, though.
See, that's what would concern me.
Well, listen, dumplings make me cry, so I don't know how much attitude I can really give.
Whereas he would just straight up insult me. And everyone would be like, oh, well, you know, he's just joking, he's not. He does actually just think I'm a f***ing idiot.
You mentioned a couple of characters that I didn't even know were in the game.
Oh, good. This is off to a great start.
Yeah, I'm a brilliant lore, you know that.
Yeah. When are you actually going to finish Dark Souls?
When are the 4 Kings going to let me pass?
Oh, we'll wait till the remaster and then you can just summon me with passwords.
You know what? I'm going to summon everyone I know and we're going to gank the F out of the game.
Okay, good.
That's what we're going to do.
I'll do that, yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so one of the characters you mentioned that I didn't even know existed was oh god.
You've forgotten them again.
What?
You've forgotten them again.
Yeah. One is Kirk.
Good. Kirk.
And the other one, oh man, the other one, it's the one that looks like the color of my scarf.
Oh. I can't see your scarf.
No, I don't have the scarf yet, but like I told you the color. No, you're misunderstanding.
What color is the imaginary scarf?
I don't remember. Okay, the thing is, I saw a scarf on Amazon, and the name of that color.
Oh yeah. You sent it to me. I can't remember either.
But Tartarus? Is that a character?
Tarkus.
Tarkus. There we go.
Tarkus,
close enough.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's talk about Tarkus.
Okay.
Tell me everything you know about him, because I don't even know who he is.
Tarkus is he starts off as a summon, and you can summon him to Tarkus is an NPC who you never properly interact with. He starts off as when you're climbing Sen's Fortress, there's a merchant called Crestfallen Merchant, and if you talk to him, he mentions that all these people are coming through to try to get to Anor Londo, and no one has survived, including the great hero Black Iron Tarkus.
Okay.
So when you fight the Iron Golem, there's like a sort of out of the way room that doesn't have anything in it, but if you go there when you're in human form, there is a summon sign for Tarkus. So you can summon Tarkus to help you fight Iron Golem. Mm-hmm. And Tarkus is extremely strong, and he can solo Iron Golem. You can just summon Tarkus and then just hide. And Tarkus will kind of most of the time will just kill Iron Golem for you.
Okay.
Because he's incredibly, he's a character who has this incredibly heavy, incredibly thick iron armor on, and he has a gigantic two-handed sword. So nothing can really hurt him, and he does a ton of damage.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you get to Anor Londo, you find when you get to Anor Londo, and you have to go over, the rafters in the room with the painting, and there's the painting guardians up there.
Right. Yeah.
Do you remember that? Yeah. When you complete that and you go down to the ground floor, you can find a dead body that has Tarkus's equipment on it, lying under one of the rafters. So the story seems to be that he went to Anor Londo and then he fell from the rafters because he was so heavy.
That's very anticlimactic.
Yeah. So, well, I mean, he could have been killed like by the painting guardians down there, but it's more entertaining if you imagine that he was so heavy that he just fell from the rafters
Oh
immediately and
no,
died.
poor guy.
And that was the end of Black Iron Tarkus.
That's it. Well, no wonder I missed him.
I just want to look up a character because think I think they kind of bring him back. Yeah. Okay. So Tarkus never comes back himself, but there is a phantom in Dark Souls 3 he's both a summon and a red phantom depending on where you are, who's called Nightslayer Soric. And he is not quite Tarkus. He has a slightly different sword and a different shield, but he's basically Tarkus. He has the same armor set on. So this Soric guy is he's like Tarkus 2.0.
Mm-hmm. And what is his deal?
He's just a random invader and a random summon. He doesn't do anything. You can just summon him for a. You can summon him for I forget which boss, because I don't play Dark Souls 3. He invades in the catacombs of Carthus.
Wait,
he will invade
is
you.
that the guy by the lava?
Yeah, what happens is he invades you as a red phantom in the catacombs of Carthus, and then when you go all the way down to Demon Ruins, he is there in the flesh, not as a phantom.
I hate that guy.
Yeah, well, there you go. That's Nightslayer Soric, who looks kind of like Tarkus.
I'm glad Tarkus fell and died in the first one.
And oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, Tarkus, you can summon him to fight the Demon King, I think. Yeah, you can summon him to fight the Demon King. And because of the way the level's laid out, it's possible to summon Tarkus and then go down to the lava and make Tarkus fight Tarkus. Soric, not Tarkus. You can summon Soric for the Demon King, and then instead of going to the Demon King, you run all the way down to the lava, and then you make Soric fight Soric. So he's fighting his own phantom.
Listen, it's okay. I stopped listening about 6 minutes ago.
I don't think anyone really cares. And Tarkus's armor, like a lot of the armor in Dark Souls is based on real world armor, but I think Tarkus's armor is based on an Armored Core design because he has this very strange like bucket helmet that looks a lot like an Armored Core like robot head. So I think he might be like a medieval kind of Armored Core, like what would these robots look like as knights kind of deal.
Yeah, so for those of us who have lives, could you quickly say what Armored Core is?
Armored Core is another From Software series of games that there's about, I think there's like 25 of them or something ridiculous. That it was their big like kind of tentpole series before Souls took off, and they're games in which you have to build a robot kind of suit from the ground up. Mm-hmm. And the big draw of them is that there's kind of an endless amount of customizability with the robot you're building, so you can kind of do anything from like you can have like a hovering like really fast one, or you can build like a really slow tank or something in the middle, or give it like chainsaws for arms or something. And
yeah, I said quickly.
Yeah, there you go.
I don't need to know that, Richard.
It's a game about robots. From made it. It's the From Software game about robots that isn't Metal Wolf Chaos.
What's Metal Wolf Chaos?
Metal Wolf Chaos is the other game they made about robots that is a pretty straightforward action game, but it's like an internet meme because the character you play as in it is the President of the United States, who has a robot. And famously, it ends with you surfing from orbit back to Earth in a ball of flame, and then saying, "Tomorrow's going to be a busy day at the White House."
Okay. Is there anything else?
No, that's about the extent of Black Iron Tarkus.
Okay. All right. Excellent. Thank you. So Now let's talk about the other character I didn't know existed.
Kirk.
Kirk. Yeah.
Okay. Kirk is kind of a confusing character. He is a red phantom who invades you in 3 different places in Dark Souls 1. And if you beat him in all 3 places, so you, basically because of the way that invasions work in that game, you can only be invaded if the boss of the area is still alive. So you kind of get like 1 shot per area to beat Kirk.
Okay.
And if you beat him all 3 times, his body will appear, but it will appear in the room where Quaelag's sister is. And it has his armor on it. And then when you pick up his the armor from his corpse, it says like, I don't know the exact wording, but it's like it kind of says that Kirk was only invading people to get humanity to help heal Quaelag's sister. He wasn't actually just like doing it for his own gain.
That's so sweet.
Yeah. And he's a very distinctive looking character because his armor is covered entirely in spikes. And his shield is covered in spikes, and his sword is, instead of having a blade, it's basically just a big pole with spikes sticking out of it. And so he's focused on inflicting a lot of bleeding damage. And that's based on a real armor set that it really exists that was used to bait bears. It was I'll look it up. Hang on. It was armor that was used to hunt bears with, and it was covered in, it's Siberian.
Oh, obviously.
So you'll know all about this.
Yeah, I have one in my closet.
Yeah. Yeah, when they were out hunting bears, they would wear these suits that had all of these spikes on them, so the bear couldn't like grab you or like swat at you because it would get spikes, it would get stabbed. So that's where Kirk's armor comes from.
Are there any bears in the Dark Souls universe?
There is a cut bear armor set in Dark Souls 1. That exists in the game files, but you can't access it. That is, it's like a bear kind of like shaman costume. I just sent you Kirk's armor.
Okay, thank you. Oh my god. That's the stuff of nightmares.
Yep.
It's like Hellraiser with add-ons.
Yeah. There's an old English folktale that I don't know if it was a direct inspiration, but that's it's called The Lambton Worm, and it's about a knight who has to kill this serpent that every time you hack it in half, the parts stick back together again. So he covers his armor in spikes and he fights it in a stream. So every time it wraps itself around him, it gets cut up and then the pieces wash away. And I don't know if that was a direct inspiration. I don't think it was. It's kind of an obscure story. And I only know it because it was in a book of folktales I had when I was a kid.
That sounds like something out of Bloodborne.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I'll find. Hang on. Lambton Worm. It's this. I wonder if I can find the exact same image. It was like so gory looking to a child. Oh my god, here it is. Oh god, yeah, this is blood everywhere. Hang on. I still have this book. It's from like 1970 and it still hasn't fallen apart.
Oh
yet.
my goodness.
There you go.
Yeah, there's Kirk and there's a Hydra looking thing.
Yep.
That is really cool.
That is from a 1970s kids book called Mysteries of the Unknown. And yeah, Kirk is called Kirk the Knight of Thorns because of all the spikes. And you can also encounter Kirk in Dark Souls 3. He invades you in the Cathedral of the Deep.
Mm-hmm.
And if you kill him there, his corpse also, it appears in Rosaria's room in the same way that it appeared in Quaelag's sister's room. And he's called Longfinger Kirk there.
Oh, I know him.
Yeah, all the Rosaria's fingers have there's something finger, so he's Longfinger Kirk.
So Rosaria has fingers that bring her tongues.
Yes.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
Yep.
Yeah, okay. I know him from Dark Souls 3. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, that's that character's origin, because in Dark Souls 3 he's just kind of random, but in 1 he has a proper story about how he's collecting humanity for Quelaag's sister.
So are they like a couple?
Well, it's odd because, like, in order to invade Infinite, he's called Dark Wraith Kirk in that, which implies he's a member of the Dark Wraith Covenant, which means he serves Karth. But I guess he was like a Dark Wraith, and then he was being a Dark Wraith in order to get humanity to then switch back to Quelaag's sister's covenant and give it to her.
What? Sorry, did you say that again?
Okay, the way that the covenants work in Dark Souls 1 is, in order to invade infinitely, because Kirk is called Dark Wraith Kirk.
Okay.
And Dark Wraiths are a covenant. They're the covenant that Karth oversees.
Okay.
But in order to serve Quelaag's sister, you have to be in a different covenant called Chaos Servant.
Okay.
So it's not clear if, like, Kirk is just called Dark Wraith because he's invading you, but he's actually a Chaos Servant. Or whether he's working as a Dark Wraith in order to get enough humanity to then switch to the Chaos Servants and give that to Quelaag's sister.
Oh, that is so cute. That's true
but
love right
we
there.
kill him.
We kill him?
We kill... Yeah, you
I didn't.
Yeah.
Maybe you did, because you're a horrible person.
I wanted his armor.
On top of it, you probably knew the lore.
Well, I gave Quelaag's sister the humanity, so it worked out either way.
Yeah, Dark Souls can be so depressing sometimes.
It is.
It's like Fallout 3. I don't think there are any happy endings in Fallout 3.
But you can purify the water in Fallout.
Yeah, by going into the radiator and dying.
Yeah. Well, the DLC patched that out.
My favorite part is how you're like, Fox, could you go in my stead? You will literally be fine. And he's like, no, thank you.
Or the ghoul guy can't do it.
I sent the girl. Listen, cutthroat wasteland, man.
You need to play 1 or 2. They're even more cutthroat.
I tried to play 1 for like 5 minutes. It's too difficult.
Yeah, I have a lot of friends like that who like the Bethesda Fallouts, but they can't play the originals.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, those are the even more cynical, messed up ones. The Bethesda ones are like nice in comparison.
Did you see? I got my Fallout box.
You did. You did an
Fallout
unboxing.
crate. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was filmed with a potato.
Nice.
I didn't know at the time that the potato has no sound or can't film. There's like a few more that are coming. It's like a thing where you get a bunch and then they all come every couple of months.
Yeah. Like reverse Patreon.